to FLX Weekly here on Wednesday, October 11th, 2023. I'm Jim Sinacropi here live inside the FingerLakes1.com studios in Seneca Falls, New York. Today we'll be joined by Maria Gigliotti, leadership consultant and coach located right here in Seneca Falls, to talk about her unique profession and services. But first, this episode of FLX Weekly is brought to you by GoNetSpeed. The future of connection is here, and it's fiber, made for how we live and work today. GoNetSpeed fiber is faster and stronger than anything out there. Check availability in your area as well as plans and pricing at GoNetSpeed.com and get ready for fast, reliable fiber internet straight to your home. And I should know, I have it in my house and it's been fantastic. It is faster, it is reliable, and the installation process was super easy, and it's really been next level for me. So that's GoNetSpeed. And also Lincoln Hill Farms. Every Friday and Saturday night in October, Lincoln Hill Farms will feature a Halloween-themed walking trail, zombie hunt, and be on the lookout for their bewitched farm characters lurking around the grounds. Plus, enjoy Friday family nights with a discount on admission prices and a DJ spinning up spooktacular tunes. Saturday nights, they'll be showcasing some frightfully good music with live local bands. There will be a little something for everyone at Halloween Fest at the farm. Get more information and tickets online at LincolnHillFarms.com. So, Maria, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Good morning.
This will be an interesting conversation because I think what you do is unique. You don't see it a lot. Leadership consulting and coaching. So, tell us a little bit about that, about who you are, your education, what brought you to this point.
Sure. Well, I've been a social worker for a little over 30 years. I received my bachelor's degree at Rochester Institute of Technology, and then followed that up with my master's at Syracuse. I've worked in a variety of fields and with a variety of populations. Mental health has been the predominant landing spot for me. I have currently had my private practice for about 12 years, hard to believe, but in that process, and certainly factoring in COVID, the world of mental health changed pretty dramatically, and I started to find some more interest in a different type of expansion in mental health. Part of being a private practitioner is I've been doing some consulting work at a nursing home for about 12 years as well. And in that capacity, I had an administrator who was very invested in his staff development. So I started doing that about 8 years ago, and that was the spark to the leadership consulting that I have now taken on as my new endeavor.
So this is more something for organizations of any size, but an organization, not like one-on-one with the CEO of an organization, but really working with the whole organization?
It can be anything the organization needs. When I refer to coaching, it's the same material as any other part of the consulting work, but it's provided one-on-one. And that's the only difference between the term consultant versus coaching, is the delivery of the services.
Gotcha. So, you mentioned mental health, and it seems to me that there's been a renaissance in kind of the awareness of mental health issues, whereas, geez, if you go back even 10 to 15 years ago, it was something that people didn't necessarily want to share, but now it seems like, a lot of people have mental health issues of some degree, and it seems like there's a path to acknowledging it nowadays where there isn't that stigma, and so it can be addressed.
Absolutely. And I've been very fortunate in my practice to have interacted with so many professionals and clients over the years, and feel very committed to continuing some mental health commitment in the community. After COVID, we really started to see this intersection of mental health and job, where you hear employers talking about short staffing, burnout of their staff. So the path somewhat laid itself out for me. I was learning at that time from some business analysts that yes, there were short staffing issues, but there also was not the population in this area that there was historically, which to me identified that we needed to take better care of the staff and workers that we have, which then again leads me down this road of really wanting to be within organizations and helping them better care for what is their greatest asset is their employees.
Right. Yeah, and because you can see how by an employer kind of acknowledging that and working to with their staff, that it would lead to more productivity and less time out of the office. And generally, a happy staff is a more productive staff.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So you mentioned, you're kind of transitioning from more private practice to this wider consulting role. Just talk about that a little bit. Like, what are the challenges in kind of shifting gears?
That has been quite a struggle. I began the consulting journey a little over a year and a half ago, so it's been a mental shift for that long, and I have just recently made some decisions about how to logistically cut my caseload back, which will take place in January. So that's been a little challenging. There's plenty of clients that I've worked with for many years and have relationships with, and of course want them to be well, and it's hard to let go of some of that.
Yeah.
But the consulting is also so rewarding.
Yeah, and I imagine it changes, if you go into a different organization, different challenges, different just general lay of the land, and so it keeps you on your toes.
Yes.
So touching on that, why, if I'm a owner of a business, or whether it's a CEO or owner of my own small business, why would they hire you? Like, what should they be looking for to say, you know what, I should call Maria?
Absolutely. The beauty of the consulting that I do is it's tailored to the organization that hires me on. The process initially involves a lot of conversation. Could be a couple of hours of conversation of exploring what are their struggles, what are some of their goals, what are some of the challenges and obstacles that they've already seen. One of the huge benefits of hiring a consultant is I'm much more objective than anybody on the inside is going to be. It's a different investment when I come in versus the people who are there every day, and that's a valuable perspective for employers. In general, I believe that any organization that believes that good enough needs to rise to the level of great.
Yeah.
I think when people are starting to really take a look at some of those things, it could be anything from an increased sales perspective to, I do a lot of leadership development with those C-suite executives. It could be a series of education around soft skills and communication, conflict resolution, anything that they see as getting in the way of their employee satisfaction and ultimately their organizational goals.
So, it seems like in this new world of business, even personal life, like, it's all about optimizing. You're just optimizing your processes, optimizing your workflow, trying to get, from an economics and productivity standpoint, just try to optimize as if there's some perfect, perfect golden land that you'll reach when you reach perfect optimization. But your services then would lend to that. I don't think businesses necessarily look at the mental well-being and cooperation amongst staff members and lack of inner conflict between employees as being a path to optimization, but it's almost like laying the groundwork.
Absolutely.
For that.
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest impacts that COVID had was really reinforcing there is no line between personal life and professional life. There is no, I leave home at home and work at work. That just doesn't exist the way we think it used to. One of the significant pieces of what I offer is that everything that I offer has a personal component and a professional component.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody coming to a leadership development process is going to learn about what makes them tick while exploring how does their impact affect the organization and vice versa. which is beyond valuable for people that are a little removed from the day-to-day things, to recognize that if someone has something really significant going on at home, we need to take care of them.
Right. Yeah. And I think good organizations, do have both empathy and concern about what their employees' lives are like when they're not in the office.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, ideal client. What would be an ideal client for you if you could pick, if you could just say, I'm going to go here, here, and here. What would be your ideal client?
I think the groundwork for the ideal client is the one that first and foremost does recognize that their employees are their most valuable asset, that they're willing to invest, that they're willing to have hard conversations, that they're willing to explore bigger goals than maybe they had thought about before, because with the right people in the right places, with the right frame of mind, anything can happen within an organization. One of the things that I found interesting as I started down this road was this concept of potential. And the example that I've been given as a consultant is that most people, with children, for example, if their child comes home with a report card and they have 3 A's and a C, most parents are looking at the C.
Yeah.
From the consultant perspective, we're looking at the A's.
Yep.
You already know where you excel. Let's build on it, and let's put that in the forefront so people can feel like it is their best foot forward, which is valuable.
If you go into an organization and you're brought in by the leadership of that organization, how do the employees respond? Is there some pushback? Like, why are we wasting our time with this? Or is there? I imagine it's different for each employee.
Absolutely, absolutely. Within the organization that I'm doing some leadership work with at this point, they have given their employees an option as to whether or not to invest.
Mm-hmm.
And it's absolutely
Invest
fine.
their time?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've only had one employee who has been hesitant, and for their own reasons, and I certainly support that. But in general, people are ready to be heard, and employees are ready to feel supported. And if you can get your employees in on the ground level of mission and vision and values, they're going to be way more productive.
So, when you are hired by an organization or business, from your perspective, how much of it is like, we have a problem we need to fix versus, things are okay, but we know they can be better? Like, does you ever get hired by saying, man, we have these issues with our workforce, can you help us solve them? Or is it more like, just like, we think we can push forward and be better? Like, are you a problem solver, I guess is what I'm trying to say?
I can be a problem solver, but it is interesting to talk with decision makers in organizations where, from their perspective, how they see the problem, where if I get in and we're having some hard conversations, the problem may be quite different than what they had anticipated, but I have not gotten any pushback about my feedback. So they're typically on board with whatever my directional recommendations may be after we have our initial conversations.
Before we get much further, how can somebody get in touch with you? I mean,
I have my website, which is crossroadsconsultingservices.com. It has my email on it, but I can certainly hand that out. It is serenity216@hotmail.
okay. And so is there, on the website, is there a form they fill out, or is I imagine there's people watching this that are like, yeah, that might be interesting, but I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
do you get cold calls saying, how can, I'm not sure how you can help us, but I know you can. Can you tell, do you tell them how you can help them?
I would love for people to call me directly and just have some conversation, or for me to go to them and have some conversation, even if it's not a now investment for them.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, most of my work has been referral based, generated primarily through a networking group that I'm part of, but my connection is in the small communities where I've been for many years. So if I can connect with business leaders here, that's my ideal client.
Just shifting gears a little bit to mental health in general, whether it's in your private practice or in the consulting when you're dealing with individuals, what is the source of mental health issues? Are they internal? Are they genetic? Are they external? Like, a basic, I guess, idea would be, like like bullying in a school.
Absolutely.
Like that would be like an external trauma on someone's mental health. Like, what causes mental health? I'm sure there's a wide variety, but do you see any trends?
Well, what we know now, we do know that trauma and anxiety are linked in how trauma affects the brain. And we also know that COVID is now considered a global trauma. So everybody has some degree of anxiety simply as a result of that. The degree of anxiety, of course, is based on your support system, the connections that you have, your own experience with talking about your feelings, but we all have that in common at this point. So there's genetic factors, but certainly environmental are really significant over the last several years.
You mentioned COVID is kind of like a global trauma. So there was things about COVID that I kind of liked.
Absolutely.
But it was that you couldn't have both worlds. It'd be nice if maybe now in a post-COVID world we could say, guess what? The next 5 days we're going into COVID mode. Nobody goes out. But that life doesn't work that way.
Right.
Where was I getting to with this? Was part of COVID was just disruption. So everybody was doing the same thing day to day for years. In some cases, especially people that are established in their careers, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, you can't do that anymore. And it lasted for an extended period of time. And then people got to the point where I can't wait to get back. Like, for a guy like me, I love the regular. Like, I love to know what's going to happen tomorrow and the next week and 6 months from now. I know what I'm going to be doing Christmas because it's the same thing I did last year and the year before, all that stuff. So the disruption from COVID caused me anxiety until that became a new normal, So how much is familiarity and regularity and predictability good for mental health versus disruption? Because sometimes disruption is probably good for anybody too, right?
Absolutely. And after the years I've worked in mental health, I've really deducted that it's the connections you have that really determine what happens next. The most significant part of COVID was the sudden impact.
Yeah.
I'm going to work today and then I'm not.
Right.
My kid went to school this morning and now he's not. It was really the sudden impact of it and the unpredictability of it. And of course we could have an entire show on the social media impact of
Yeah, maybe we will. Maybe we will.
But it was the suddenness of it, I think, that created the most reaction for folks.
Oh, it's certainly a shared experience as a species of humans and also as smaller communities, that we went through, and certainly affects everybody a little different, but really interesting to think about. And, like you said off the top, I think that going through that has also just allowed mental health issues to become more to the forefront and be more acceptable by society in general. If someone says, geez, I'm really struggling right now, I think that person would get a little more empathy than they would have pre-COVID.
Absolutely, and starting to see some trends toward folks that historically might not hesitate to take time off of work to go to a doctor's appointment, but would be cautious to take time off of work to go to a therapy appointment. I think you've seen a lot of shift in that, which again only supports the shifts I'm making professionally when you start to see the intertwining of it all.
Well, CrossroadsConsultingServices.com is a great place to connect with Maria. And again, if you are in charge of organization, large or small, a business owner with staff, and you want to explore this type of thing, crossroadconsultingservices.com, and I think that anybody that does take that leap will probably see the advantages and benefits of doing that in short order. So
It's been a huge experience and really rewarding.
well, I appreciate you coming up and spending time talking about these things. And as we do every Wednesday here on FLX Weekly, we take a look at the weekend ahead. First, take a look at the weather, and I'm disappointed because October is my favorite time of the year, and the weekends just have not been too great weather-wise after having an awesome stretch. So let's see what we have ahead of us this weekend. Friday looks like a nice day, partly sunny with a high near 58. A calm wind will become north in the afternoon, around 6 miles an hour, and an overnight Friday night low about 46. Then Saturday, rain's going to move in the morning or after 8 a.m. 80% chance of showers, high near 53. It'll be windy too, this time out of the east at 11 to 14 miles an hour. And that rain will continue into the night and end sometime Sunday morning, early afternoon, where Sunday will be cloudy with a high near 53. So that's not great. You know, people like to get out in the yards. People like to hit the wine trails. I mean, you can hit the wine trails in the rain. That's not going to stop you. But you got any plans this coming weekend?
Nothing significant. I'm a really large football fan, so all things sports are usually part of my weekend
Me too.
routine. So rain or not, that will happen. So that's always a good starting point for me.
Yeah, I like to golf. Usually my wife and I will golf on a Saturday, but she's not much of a foul weather golfer, but we'll play Sunday morning. My friends and I will golf on Sunday morning, rain or shine. As long as there's not snow on the ground, we'll keep going. But yeah, this forecast is kind of disappointing. I hope we can get a shift to get one last, blast of nice weather before we start to, get into the winter. But we do have time, and a lot of times now, November's good weather too lately. Global warming, maybe, I don't know. But for us here in the Finger Lakes, global warming might not be a bad thing. Don't want to get caught saying that. But so far, so good as far as that goes for here in the Finger Lakes, where we got plenty of water, shorter winters and longer summers. I'm not going to complain. But thanks again, Maria, for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
It was great. And I think I will have you back. I would like to explore kind of mental health and social media. I think that'll be an interesting topic. So maybe we'll have you back in a month or two.
Great.
So thanks.
Absolutely.
Once again, that's crossroadconsultingservices.com for more information. And thanks everybody for joining us today. If you enjoyed the show, click like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back next Wednesday. Until then, have a great October weekend right here in the Finger Lakes.